Hey guys, it's me. I just wanted to put a quick disclaimer in front of the video to let you guys know that I will be covering sensitive topics that may be disturbing or triggering to some people watching. So originally this video was going to be something almost completely different. I was originally just going to sit in front of the phone and talk about my experience with mental health. Considering, like I said in my last video, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So it's a very important time to listen and talk to your peers. But the idea has changed from being just sitting in front of a camera talking about my experience with mental health, and it went to let's do a poem, and that kind of worked. I'll read you what I've put and got already, but it's not much. And then I came to the conclusion of the idea of doing a speed paint. My first speed paint on the channel wasn't planned until next Friday, but I decided it was the only way that I could do it without having to, I don't know, I guess put too much editing into it, and it's just like a sit down. I didn't edit the speed paint in any way apart from, putting the, making it quicker. Anyway, so where do I begin? I mean, despite the fact I was born 10 days early, I always found a way to be running late. Despite the fact I was quite an early talker, I now struggle to communicate with strangers. Despite the fact I was an early walker, I prefer to be introverted and stay in the comfort of my home. Now, due to me being an early reader, I struggle to get my head out of a book, and due to me always dressing up as a child, I enjoy cosplaying, and just being someone else helps boost my confidence in so many different ways. Due to me always having a pen and a notepad on me from a very young age, I enjoy doing creative writing, and I always have a sketchbook on the go, and I'm quite an artistic person. I reckon that if a 4 or 5 year old me saw me as I am now, she would struggle to believe it was her. And she would have a lot in front of her to go, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of issues to go through, and a lot of fighting. But it's all going to be worth it in the end, and she just needs to know that she needs to go through. At the start of not the beginning, but where a lot of this stems from, at the age of 6, my life changed in a way that I thought it never would. My parents got divorced, and it was a struggle for not only mum, but it was a struggle for me being 6. I didn't really understand what was going on at the time. I just thought Dad was, going on holiday or going camping or something, as that's something we would do a lot. We would camp. But, he didn't really care that, that it was much of a struggle. As you can tell already that this video the audio is pretty much unedited because there's a lot of fillers like and but it's the only way I can get it out properly. So like I said, my parents got divorced when I was 6 years old, and I have always lived with mum. I've never moved house. At the beginning, Dad would come round to see me, every Thursday when my mum was at Pilates. We would have father-daughter time, and he would drive here. But then eventually he started saying it was too much money, and he stopped. When he kind of got his own place, I say his own place, it was like a caravan. But, I started visiting him like every other weekend, sometimes even more than that. And it was fine. We would go like camping, we would go rock climbing, we'd go to the cinema, we'd go shopping, it'd be really, really fun. But again, that would change. So, like a year later, I guess, a year or a bit maybe later, Dad met a woman who at the time was in a relationship with another man who I am 80% sure that she cheated on him with my dad on. Yeah, if that makes sense. Kind of in a way like my dad cheated on my mum. Anyway, that's not important to the story. She is though. So this woman, at first it was okay, and then when they started getting more involved with each other, especially when she moved in with Dad, and like 2 months later she got pregnant with my eldest younger sister, everything kind of changed. I started to get treated differently than before, and I started to be subjected to forms of emotional abuse. One of the many shitty rules that they had when I was around their house was if I started to cry, I would have to go to my room, and sometimes not sometimes, but a lot of the times I wouldn't be fed lunch, which would later hinder, I guess, my outlook on life and my actions. So that kind of that's the initial thing that caused a ripple effect. So it started off, obviously I was so young, I didn't understand what was going on, so I was like, oh, this is fine, this is normal, right? This is normal. I mean, it's not like compared to my friends, I already had quite a different life. I practically had 2 homes. Every other weekend I was going to my dad's, and a lot of my friends weren't doing that. So I was like, oh, this is normal. This is normal for people in situations like this, and a lot of times it can be, but that's not important. So this treatment I was getting from them, it caused me to have anger issues. Now, these anger issues were terrible. I would lash out, I would get angry because I didn't know how to get my emotions out, because my brain was like so confused on what was going on, and it was just really strange and confusing times, and it was strange and confusing times for everyone in my life. So these anger issues happened for a few years, actually. From like year 3 to year 6, maybe a bit of year 7. I got in trouble in year 5 for hitting a girl, but she just drove me to the edge. But that's just kids being kids. But so what stemmed from these anger issues would be something that has changed my complete and utter outlook on life, and it's changed the way I see myself, see the world around me. From this stemmed depression and anxiety, so I went from kind of like one extreme to the other. So year 7 I was okay, I guess, but year 8 is mainly where it started, becoming a problem. I started self-harming and had thoughts of suicide. Now, back then I was talking to my form tutor every lunchtime, even break times. He was willing to give up his spare time to make sure that I was okay and to make sure I wouldn't do anything stupid. But yeah, I was self-harming a lot, and they're faded quite a bit now, because this is like 3 years ago, but you can still see the scars, and a lot of people regret it. I regret doing it, but I also don't. The scars are there as a reminder of where I was, and so I was quite an outgoing kid. I loved everything. I would go up to strangers and go like, hey, and start talking to people. It's like mum and dad would have to be like, no, stop it. But like the other day, for example, I was out and I saw someone wearing some Supernatural merch, and I felt like going, hey, I like your jumper, like, who do you prefer, Sam or Dean? But I couldn't, because I'm too not socially awkward, but it gives me anxiety. So just to bear in mind before I go any further in this, I am not professionally diagnosed by a doctor, by a psychiatrist, or anything like that, because I have a fear of hospitals and things like that, and that's just not my cup of tea. I would rather try and sort it out myself. So during these dark times, I struggled to find anything good. And then I came across the band Set It Off, and my world flipped upside down. Now, people who are close to me think I discovered Panic at the Disco first, but you would be completely wrong. It would be through Set It Off I would discover Panic at the Disco. And they both equally mean so much to me, and, you know, that I can't pick one over the other, but Set It Off was there first, and it gave me a sense of hope and belonging, and that's all I needed at the time. And yeah, through Set It Off I discovered Panic at the Disco, which helped me crawl even further out of this dark hole that I put myself in, and I started to get a bit better. I didn't, you know, it wasn't the best, I wasn't better, but I was getting there, and that's all that mattered. I had these things that I was passionate about, I borderline obsessed about. You know, I would do anything just to, at the time I'd do anything to just feel as happy as I was back when I was younger, and Panic and Set It Off brought me that joy. And I remember just listening to their music and it just, you know, being so relieving for me. I mean, there was this one time where we had to go to the hospital because Mum had to get an x-ray, and like I just said, I have a fear of hospitals. So I was sitting there in the waiting room and I was about to have a panic attack, and I almost had on full blast in my ears to help me try and keep as calm as I could. You know, I had Panic at Disco and Set It Off playing, and it helped me. You know, I mean, even then I was still like really, really shaky, but you know, it was better for me, and it definitely made me feel a lot better about being there, and I was, you know, calmer. And yeah, so that's why two of the people that I'm drawing today, or no, the one in the middle with the blue hair is Cody, who's the lead singer of Set It Off, and of course you've got Brendan Urie on the left, which you're watching it, so it's on your right, but it's, yeah, he's on the left. But yeah, those two bands are very, very important to me. Now the other person, as you can see, is, well, not right now because we're erasing the stuff from Brendan's jacket, but the other person in this drawing is Jensen Ackles, and that's where Supernatural comes into play. Now, even though I have Set It Off, and even though I have Panic at the Disco, I'm still kind of in a dark place. And back in 2018, like early-ish 2018, I discovered the show Supernatural, and my world completely changed for the better. I now had these 3 things that I could completely focus on, and that's all I needed. The show Supernatural gave me so much hope. There's so many good things to learn from that, and you know, I'm gonna be sad to see it finish, honestly. But there's always a thing where it's like you always connect with a certain character because of, you know, you relate to them, and I do. I relate to the character of Dean Winchester. You know, has a relationship with the dad, but is not the complete best, and you know, thinks of others before he thinks of himself, and you know, well, if you know Supernatural, you know the character of Dean very, very well. I don't know how to describe it really, and why I feel so attached to this character. But I mean, he as a character, and Jensen as well, and just the entire cast, but mainly Dean, just means so much to me. You know, Dean has showed me that no matter what I go through, no matter how dark of a space I may be in, I can crawl myself out of it. Like, he crawled out of purgatory or hell, I guess. But, you know, he's gone through so many struggles. For example, like when he had the mark of Cain, he did that to protect Sam. And he went through all of that horrible, horrible stuff and still came through at the other end. Because he had this mentality of, I can go through this, I can do it. And that's why when I turn 18, I hope and plan to get a Mark of Cain tattoo, to remind myself to stay strong when times are bad, like really bad. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I feel like I said at the beginning, you know, I wouldn't recognize myself. Like, if I met a younger version of myself, she wouldn't, bless her heart, she wouldn't recognize the person in front of her. She would be like, what happened to you? You used to be so happy. And some people say it's just because you're going through puberty. That's probably what my dad would put it through as. But it's not. It's not. It is because there was a chain of events that had caused me to have this shitty outlook on life, and it's really horrible. And I remember back when I used to self-harm, it was so hard, and like in the mornings I would be trying to stop, so I would wear a few hairbands on my wrist so I can, you know, twang them and, you know, get the relief of pain that way. And every morning I would have to go to my form tutor and hand him all of the sharp objects that I would have to stop me from doing it. I used to think about my suicide. I really did, and it's horrible to think about. And I mean, I still do think about, you know, back when I self-harmed and how happy it made me. Oh, I've definitely had a huge, you know, I have a problem where I bottle everything up. And that's why I'm making this video. Because I feel like once I start putting it out there, you know, I can finally feel like a shit ton of weight has just been pulled off my shoulders. But I mean, you know, this whole situation that I was put in, all because, you know, I was emotionally abused for 4 or 5 years, and it really changed me as a person. I'm definitely not the same person I was when I was, you know, at the beginning of divorce. A completely different person from when I was like 8, 9 years old, a completely different person from when I first became a teenager, and now I'm 16, you know, 17 this year, turning 18 next year. It's nice to see that I have made some improvement. I mean, it's not the best improvement, but I've stopped doing the things that harm myself, and I just need to improve on my mental health. And, you know, the journey one makes, it's amazing. I mean, I haven't completed my journey. I'm probably not even midway through me improving my mental health as much as I can. But, you know, I'm getting there with the help of my really good friends. You know, my mum, my amazing mum, my best friend, my rock. I don't know where I'd be without her, honestly. And, of course, Supernatural, Panic at the Disco, and Set It Off. My saving graces. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Goodbye. Before I finish this video, I just want to quickly explain the drawing. The brain being broken and the heart being broken are to signify the struggles that I've gone through and are still going through with my journey, and how that I kind of, you know, changed and broke as a person, being a shell of what I once were. Of course, we've got my 3 main idols on the top, for people who really helped me with my journey. I just want you guys to know that you are not alone. Please stay safe. Goodbye.
But you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare.